Good evening, or good afternoon, I should say. How's everybody? See who we got in the place to be. Uh, well, huh, would this be a quantum day? Nah, nah, nah. Going on, Charlena from Boston. All right, cool. Frida, what's going on? Listening while you work. Listen while you work. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Go ahead and make the while you twerk something, you ain't getting this thing. You ain't in this thing. I also want to send condolences to the family of what was the comedian name that just died? She's from Decatur, and I didn't know that. Um, uh, she just died from cancer. She went to Columbia High School, and the only reason why I brought it up is because I was reading about what Mike Epps had said about her, and people were in the comments were like, she graduated from Columbia High School in '95, and I was like, oh man, that's right, that was right down the road from me. And a person was like, out in the comments said, I was glad to have been a friend and a classmate from K from elementary school all the way to high school. And the person, one of the guys in the comment, didn't understand that basically back in the 90s, our elementary school was K through 7th, not K through 5th. It was K through 7th. And then the 8th grade was Erica Ash. Yep. Um 8th through 12th. And so and that kind of sparked my thoughts of like why it was always weird to me to see seniors dating 8th graders, because those seniors by that time were anywhere between 7 and 19, depending on if they got held back or whatnot. And so they would be 19 dating someone who was 12 or 13. Go figure, because they're just coming out of the 7th grade, and depending on when their birthday fell. Right. So anyway, long story short, uh, give a condolences to her family, Erica Ash. Then I was looking at um I the lady from 227, the one that was friends with the one that was the building owner, which is so funny because we talk about home ownership and family and stuff like that. You had a woman who was the owner of the building. Um when we were looking at 227, you just didn't realize what they were trying to show you, right? Subliminal messages. Anyway, they were talking about I was looking at a video of her, yep, Rose. What they were saying was that, yep, she died of breast cancer, and they guess she got buried, and she died in 2009. But she played on Broadway. She made her money from writing jingles. So she made her money off of 227 and before 227 for writing commercials and jingles. But the other note is she married a guy, and I forget his name. Anyway, while they were dating, he did a blood transfusion, and he contracted HIV, and from the blood transfusion, and that was very well known back then. Anyway, one thing he did, he asked her to marry her, and to marry him, and so she married him knowing that he had HIV and how he contracted it. But in the video, in the interviews, she was saying, I knew I just loved him, and I wanted him to be happy and well taken care of, because he was a wonderful person to her before he passed away, which I thought was pretty cool. And then Marla Gibbs stated that they were really, really close. And so you could tell from some of the interviews that Marla Gibbs did, and they brought up Rose, you could tell that that was her friend. So shout out to Marla Gibbs. She's still around here kicking it. Even though Sherman Hensley is gone, Wheezy is gone, the original Lionel, he gone. Um, hell, the mixed couple, the one that is or still is, but she's passed away. Um, what's his name's mother? I forget his name right about now. I don't know how I forget his name. Lenny Kravitz. Lenny Kravitz's mother, and he did an ode to his mother through songs, "Dear Mama" and various songs and so forth. So, yeah, yep, Elena Reed Hall. So, just little things that I was watching this morning, just looking at people's lives and trajectories and careers and so forth, which is right, Sirocco, yep, which is one of the things that I want to talk about stemming from last night, but here today. Yesterday we talked about job hopping, right? And the reason why I brought up job hopping, as you all may or may not have caught, if you didn't catch it, go check out last night's video on Foolish Finance Friday. One of the things about job hopping is the ability to one gain more income, but the other side that nobody ever talks about are the financial risk of job hopping, right? The financial risk of job hopping, right? And if you were on the show last night, but just to give a quick overview, the financial risk of job hopping is, I'm gonna give you another one that I didn't mention last night. Um, um, the rule of 55. Okay. So the way, and this is why when you job hop, you got to figure out what you're going to do with those old IRAs or 401ks, because the rule of 55 is you can retire at 55, or if you quit your job or you want to retire at 55, you can draw down from the current employer's 401k plan, not previous employers, not somewhere where you got a lot of money at and you have to live off of, but you could draw down from the current 401k plan. So that means that all the 401ks, we call them junk, they call them probably like a drunk drawer of 401ks out there, rolling them into one, or moving them into an IRA or something like that. But I think the rule of 55 only works on 401k and not IRA. Let me double verify. Let me double verify that. Don't want to tell you wrong on the rule of 55. All right, the rule of 55 provision. Let me read it out. Let me show it on the screen here. All right, the rule of 55 is an IRS provision that allows people who are 55 and older to withdraw funds from their employer sponsored retirement plans. Right. Right. So it's got to be something the employer offers. So typically, most employers offer the 401k. To qualify, you must have separated from your employer in or after the year you turn 55, either through retirement, layoff, or quitting. And then if you're in public safety or something like that, you can do it at 50. So you can meet somebody who worked as a police officer or firefighter and retired at 50, but that doesn't mean that they retired in life. That just means they retired from that job and it's enough for them to draw down. Right? So let me do this. Um I don't know. Do y'all like it when I do notepad no moments? I don't know. You tell me. Let me know in the chat if you like it when I do the notepad moments. All right. So last night, and then I'm gonna minimize the stuff on my screen so I can see the screen 1 second, and then we're gonna spin off a new notepad, right? All right. So last night I talked about the financial mistakes of job hopping, investing schedule, so forth and so on. And what you see here in the green is what things that I have encountered or things that I have done. Let me say that better that way, right? And then I asked people to give me like what you think I've done. All right, so now let's do this. Let's do a new sheet. And let's move this up to 36 on the font. And let's take this out of the equation here. Okay. So, um so one of the big things that I wanted to like discuss today, last night I talked about the risk that you have from job hopping. Now there's the other side, which is the gains from job hopping. And I think you pretty much know about those is um more income, better benefits, career trajectory, better company, um, longevity, and so forth. So I'm going to talk about uh, just some things that I have personally have have learned, and also tell you all, which you probably hear these all the time from me. And let me make this font a little bit bigger because it look a little small on the screen when I'm looking at it. Yeah, that may be better. All right, so looking at your career trajectory, here are some things, and I'm just gonna come off the top of my head with this, so you have to bear with me if some of it may be redundant, because I didn't really plan for this one, but I kind of planned for this one, but I kind of didn't. All right, career trajectory. All right, so uh, think of your career in terms of years. So those years could be 10 years. You could do 5, but I we'll do 5 for now. Mm, really don't want to, but okay, we'll do 5 and you'll see why in a minute. 5, 10, 15, and 20. But not for what you're probably thinking. Okay, the 5 year, I considered this your first 5 years, or I should let me not do it. Let me not say it this way. Let me not do it that way. 5 year plan. You're gonna stay at that company. You're gonna skill up. You're gonna get a promotion or two. And let me do this way and this way. All right. Skill up. Get a promotion. Um. mm, Possibly sit on possibly transfer to another team. Now, yeah, and facts no fluff. The only reason why I say 5 year, and here's I'm jumping ahead for a reason. All right, let's go here. Let's jump ahead as you kind of twisting my hand. What with the money that you are earning, what does does retirement look like? And I'm gonna come back to that. We can just take this and we're gonna break this down in the same amount of chunks, right? And what does your assets look like? All right, so it would be the same here. Your 5 year, your 10 year, your 15 year, and your 20 year, right? And it's the same thing here. 5 year, 10 year, 15 year, 20 year. Y'all with me so far? Put a one in the chat. And are your what are you doing to mitigate your risk in this 5 year, 10 year, 15 year, 20 year? Okay. All right. There's more, but this is enough to get us started and enough to get you thinking. All right. This 5 years, and this is not like 5 years starting. It could be if you wanted it to be, but I'm just saying in 5 years. Say you got a job now, you've been on it for 6 months or a year, but you haven't thought about what does a 5 year plan at that company look like, right? And the reason why I said you probably haven't thought about it because you're working, you're making some money, you might have gotten complacent, or you're not sure if you want to stay, or you're not sure where you want to go. If you do jump, you're not sure what your next trajectory is going to be, whatever, right? So, thinking of your career in terms of years, one thing I need to add: how do you buy back your time in 5 years? 5 year, 10 year, 15 year, 20 year. Okay. How do you buy back your time? All right. So, skilling up, get a promotion, possibly transfer to another team. Here, you may be in some type of leadership role. You may, um, you may be a staff or senior or distinguished. You could be a distinguished depending on, oh, I'm spelling that wrong. Engineer, right? You could also hear it could be senior leadership, whatever. And I'm gonna I'm gonna do something different on 20. And here you could be senior leadership and own a company, right? Now, here I expect most people are probably spend anywhere from 3 to 5 years at a company, just figuring out life, figuring out what you want to do, figuring out what that's going to look like. Are you investing? All the things that we've talked about, every single thing that I've talked about. Let me pull it up. Every single thing that I've talked about on here, on my basically you can call it my $1 million quadrant if you want to. Calculate how much money you have made. You go to Social Security, have term life insurance, pay off high interest debt, set up your SSA, invest in yourself. Um, look at your tax, trying to bring down as much of your taxable income, your emergency fund, your high yield savings account. This is just a foundation because you're just gonna keep putting into the pots, putting into the pots. So again, having this strategy here line up with what we're talking about here is really what I'm doing. But how you think about this is important. I don't know why I took off my career, but whatever. All right, so with with the money you're earning, what does retirement look like? Now, you can retire anytime you want. You could retire at 30, you could retire at 40, you could retire at 45, you could retire at 50. You could retire anytime you want. That doesn't necessarily mean you stop working. People hear retirement, they say, "Oh, I'm stop working." That's not necessarily the case. You may retire from what you've been doing on a day to day and then go do something different that's totally different than what you've already been doing. So now the question is, with this rule of 55, and let me bring up this one because I was supposed to bring it up the other week. The rule of 55 and the rule of 72T. All right. 72T allows individuals under the age of 59 and a half to make a penalty-free withdrawal from their retirement account. This rule is intended to help people who want to retire early or need access to their retirement funds before the typical retirement age. It can be beneficial. So let me go here. Let's go look at Smart Asset. All right. Blow it up a little bit. All right. This provision assumes special relevance in the retirement planning, particularly for individuals who wish to retire early than the standard age. For example, if you dream of retiring at 55, Rule T can make it possible. Rule 72T can make it possible. If you have an IRA account, then you can elect to withdraw funds via the Rule of 72T if it take if you take at least 5 substantially equal periodic payments. This rule allows individuals to make early penalty-free withdrawals from their retirement with a which are calculated using 3 IRS approved methods. There are no requirements of proof of hardship in order to withdraw funds under this rule, and some tax advantage retirement accounts sponsored by your employer might also qualify. And then they go through on how it's calculated and so forth and whatever the case may be. You can go look this one up, right? Rule of 55 and 72T. Why am I telling you about this? Because some of you are in the ages, just based on what I'm seeing in the data, in the audience are between the ages of 35 and 55. And you're at this point now where you're 35 and you're probably making over, I'm gonna say 100,000, maybe even closer to 200,000. And you've been putting away money and you're trying to figure out how much longer do I have to do this? Which goes back to this conversation here is with the money that you're earning, what do your assets look like? And what are you doing to mitigate your risk? And how do you buy back your time? How do you buy back your time? All right. So buying back your time. And the reason why I got this spaced out, because there should be a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 15-year plan, and a 20-year plan under all of these. Because you never know what you may feel like in this time period, right? So buying back your time. All right. So let's start backwards. Investopedia. What are assets? What is an asset? Okay. An asset is a resource that is expected to provide a future benefit to its owners. Let's ask this: is intellectual property an asset? Is intellectual property an asset? An asset is a resource that is expected to provide a future benefit to its owner. In case of businesses, assets are reported on a company's balance sheet. An asset may generate cash flow, reduce expenses or improve sales. It may either it may be either tangible or intangible, like a copyright. Yes, IP can be an asset. It's just an intangible asset. For accounting purposes, assets are commonly classified as current, fixed, financial, or intangible. So here's a question: is women in Linux an intangible asset? They're quiet today, D. I don't see no chatter. Gotta see if it check the pulse. Is anybody out there? We gotta check the pulse on the streets, D. All right, understanding assets. Individuals usually think of assets as items of value that they could convert into cash at some future point, and might also be producing income or appreciating in the value in the meantime. Those can be financial assets like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, physical assets like a home or art collection. So back over on our notepad, when we're talking about your what with the money that you're earning, what your assets look like, I'm thinking people right here are gonna probably do real estate and stocks. And they may do here, and I just said real estate. I'm not saying a duplex or a single family home or a neighborhood or apartment building, or a hotel or a motel. I'm just saying real estate. And then you start to, as you gain more money, right? You'll still stick with stocks and you'll still stick with real estate, and you may dibble into options. You may dibble here into art. You may even have intellectual property. At this point, you probably will. Oops, it didn't tab complete for me. All right. Another thing, yeah, yeah. So art, intellectual property. Another thing, here, as you all start to get older, what they don't talk about are trusts and what's in that, estate planning. Another one is inheritance. You know why we don't really talk about inheritance for us? Because we always inheriting debt when our people leave. Somebody got to get the money ready together for the funeral. Somebody got to get the flowers. Somebody got to pay for the food, right? So I'm just going ahead and just throw in here, way back up here at the 5 year mark. Get you some insurance. 0 to 5. Get you some insurance. Get you some insurance. Right. Now at the 20 year mark, you're probably gonna have all of this. But you know what else you're gonna have here is you're gonna have a network. And you're gonna have this network that you built up over all these years. And you're like, why? Are you putting this under assets? Because your network could lead to an asset or investment that you never thought about, right? And I'll just put this in like italics. So no one's like, she said my network is an asset. I'm saying your network gives you the capability to reach other people who may do investments. They may be building a business. They may be, yeah, a strong network is an asset. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. And this is just something you really, all of this you can do back at the 5 year mark. I'm just telling you, but most people don't really start thinking about these things until later on. But you can absolutely do any of these things that I have here in any of these stages. I'm just going off of my own personal thing and what I see from people, right? What I see from people. All right. Now, last night I talked about the risks that you have, but what I didn't talk about is how do I mitigate those risks? How do I mitigate the risk? Yeah, make sure y'all get the lights up. What are my lights looking like too? What do my lights look like? Let me see. Yeah, come on now. Let's get the lights up. All right. So mitigating your risk. So when we're talking about mitigating your risk, I'm talking about not necessarily in an up market or a down market. I'm just talking about mitigating risk in your career. Mitigating risk in your career. One thing that should automatically come up is your network. Next one is skill sets that last a lifetime. And you're like, no one can ever predict the future. Not necessarily predicting the future, but understanding where the money is going. So we're gonna, I'm gonna stop here for a brief second because I want to bring this up because it goes with the skill set for a lifetime. And I'm going to just show you I'm gonna give you a way to think differently. So let me pull this up. Oh, it's not in here. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna pull this over to here. I'm gonna pull this over to here. So the US Department of State. Do y'all know what the Department of State does? No? Anybody? What does the Department of State do? All right. The U.S. Department of State leads America's foreign policy through diplomacy, advocacy, and assistance by advancing the interests of the American people, their safety, and economic prosperity. All right. I'm going to read it right here. It's right here. The U.S. Department of State leads America's foreign policy through diplomacy, advocacy, and assistance by advancing the interest of the American people, their safety, and economic prosperity. So now let's go and look at what policy issues does the state handle? Again, all tied back to I'm gonna bring it on for you. All tied back to what are you doing to mitigate your risk, your network, and your skill set that lasts a lifetime. All right. Policies on anti-corruption and transparency, arms control and non-proliferation, climate and environment, climate crisis, combating drugs and crime, COVID-19 recovery, countering terrorism, cyber issues, economic and trade policy, energy, global health, global women's issues, human rights and democracy, human trafficking, the ocean and the polar affairs, refugee and humanitarian assistance, science and technology innovation, treaties and international agreements. Does that sound like something that y'all want to know every day? Do these things affect you? And the policies around them, do they affect you? I'll run through them again. Anti-corruption and transparency, arms and control and non-proliferation, climate and environment, climate crisis, combating drugs and crime, COVID-19 recovery, countering terrorism, cyber issues, economic prosperity and trade policy, energy, global health, global women issues, human rights and democracy, human trafficking, the ocean and the polar affairs, refugee and humanitarian assistance, science and technology and innovation, treaties and international agreements. Let's click on science and technology innovation. Let's read this first. We execute public diplomacy programs that promote the value of science to the general public. We also implement capacity building programs in emerging markets that train young people to become science and technology entrepreneurs. Our efforts contribute to scientific enterprises that hasten economic growth and advance U.S. foreign policy. Click. All right. The Office of Science and Technology Cooperation is part of the Bureau of Oceans and International Environmental Science Affairs. Remember, I'm talking about what are you doing to mitigate your risk in your fire, your network, your skill set that lasts a lifetime. Do you think you can find a skill set that could assist in any of these things that these policies apply to? Right? The part of the Bureau of Oceans and International Environmental and Scientific Affairs cultivate science and technology and innovation ecosystems to support the U.S. foreign and economic policies priorities. It leverages a wide variety of tools and foreign partnerships to strengthen STI around the world. The Office of Science and Technology Advisor and Secretary of State, the Office of Space Affairs, the Office of Space Affairs carries out diplomatic and public diplomacy efforts to strengthen American leadership in space exploration, applications, commercialization uh, by increasing understanding of and support. So what I'm saying to you is companies and agencies are already existing out there. They all have some hand or form or get some money in the form of kickback from the government, um, especially when we're talking about creating something that deals and helps with space exploration, AI, creating a roadmap for the younger generation to come up for its education. All these things matter. So when you say, I want to mitigate my risk in my career, I'm saying to you, the roadmap is already in front of you. you need to be able to go fish. And here's how you can go fish to find out what your career could look like in terms of your skill sets that can play in any environment if you want to, or a specific environment if you need to be. You can be general, or you can be a journalist, or you can be a specialist, right? So now let's continue. AI, artificial intelligence, is the center of the global technological revolution. The Department of State promotes an international policy environment and works to build partnerships that further the U.S. leadership in AI technologies, protect our national and economic security, and promote our values. How? How do we do that, right? How do we do that? I'm going to take it even one step further. We're going to go back over to, yeah, let's go back here and let's scroll up. Economic prosperity and trade policy. The Economic Bureau comprises an extensive group of officers focused on building a strong U.S. economy that creates jobs and underpins national security. A central element of the vision is the pursuit of free, fair, and reciprocal trade. Our officers highlight economic considerations in policy formation. They build relationships needed to expand. They build relationships needed to expand commercial ties that drive American prosperity. The role in this policy also extends to implementing sanctions against terrorism, human rights abusers, and corrupt officials. The Department of State additionally works to strengthen property rights and contract enforcement, competition policies, sound commercial law, and protection and enforcement of intellectual rights around the world. Right? The the Bureau of Economic Business Affairs works to create jobs at home, boost economic opportunities overseas, and make America more secure. All right, let's go here. All right. So now we're at the Bureau of Economic Business Affairs, right? Investing opportunities in Andorra. Um, Direct webinar program representing investment opportunities in Andorra, featuring investment and export opportunities of U.S. firms, including small to medium sized American enterprises in smaller markets. Um, Coming up is the lithium and corporate extraction and value chain, development opportunities in Argentina, strengthening U.S. open sky civil aviation partnerships with such a. And let me, hold on, let me go right here, and so you can see. Now you say, do you have a question about what skill sets that you do need? I wonder, do you see how your skill sets can play into a lot of the companies that are working to support some of these policies. A lot of companies that are working to support some of these 2024 investment climate statements published. And let me look at that. Today, the Department of State published the 2024 investment climate statements. These reports describe the investment climates of more than 160 countries and economies, helping the U.S. companies make informed decisions about investing overseas. All right, so here we go. I'm trying to see if it'll let me pull the statement up. Let me see. That's not what I want. That's the Trade Administration. I don't see the statement. Oh, do I have to click here? Okay. I clicked on that. It looks like on the side I click here. Year 2024. Let's go with, sure, let's go with Barbados. All right. According to the Central Bank of Barbados preliminary figures in 2023, the Barbados economy stood around 6.4 billion. right? Making the largest economy in the Eastern Caribbean. Like most of the Eastern Caribbean, the country continues to grapple with supply chain delays and surging consumer and fuel prices exacerbated the COVID-19 pandemic. The Russian, I mean, the Ukraine, blah, 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 right? So here you can look right here, you can look and see what their financial sectors are, and you could do this for any country that's listed over there, and what our relationship is with them, what your skill sets could be if you wanted to go live in Barbados and work remotely, maybe work for a company doing something there, tying it back into the continental United States if you needed to. You can come back up here and let me go back, um, and click another location. Let's look at Costa Rica. All right, so Costa Rica, uh, with an established government institutional framework and a diversified upper middle income economy, the country's well-educated labor force, relatively low levels of corruption, geographic location, dynamic investment promotion efforts, and attractive free trade zone incentives all appeal to investors. Foreign direct investment inflow in 2023 as estimated by the Costa Rican Central Bank was 3.92 billion USD, or 4.5% of the GDP, with the United States accounting for 2.62 billion. Costa Rica recorded a 5% GDP growth in 2023. And you can see on YouTube a lot of people moving to Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, and so forth. But this is how I'm saying to you is your network and your skill sets, and knowing where money is going and the relationships people have and the networks that you can get in, or the networks that you know are available, can help you mitigate your risk, because now you know where the money is going, you know where we're actually doing trading at, you know the relationships with, we know what policies and things that are in place from the United States to that particular country. It just gives you a better outlook, and you can use this over your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan, your 15-year plan, your 20-year plan. Put a one in the chat if you're keeping up with what I'm talking about. Put a two if it don't make sense. Put a two if it don't make sense. Right? So the only thing I did here was click on um employees, and then you can click right here on job seekers, right? And then you can go over here and look at they got career paths right here on the actual site. They got foreign service officers, like you could work for the Department of State, you could work for as a foreign service specialist, you could be a civil service, you can be a counselor fellows, they got pathway programs, professional fellowships, and so forth. That's right on their page. Now if I click on available jobs, and this takes me to USA Jobs automatically. But they show you here an information technology specialist, an inspector. It starts at 132. It's a GS 14. It's in DC. I'm not telling you that these jobs are easy to get at all. What I'm simply saying to you is there are jobs out there and companies that work with the Department of State, that work with a bank in Barbados or a bank in Costa Rica or what have you, where you can leverage your skill sets here in the States and foreign. Speaking of literal network, I see Cisco secured their contract and is official partner of the Olympics. What you say about knowing the fundamentals is shown to be tried and true. Yep, yep, it's consistent. Jay, it's consistent. It's consistent. I'm not telling you something that I don't see. I'm telling you something that I know, that you could just you could plot it out. All right. And you can come here on USA Jobs. You can also go back, if we want to take it all the way back. to policy issues here. You can see the policy issues that are there. And there are companies that work specifically with these issues and these policies. And they have a whole IT department. They have a whole slew of things that they need. So don't take it lightly on when you're talking about these things, right? Don't take it lightly. Um, so you say, well, how do I find see companies that work with the I'm just gonna throw it out there, see what happens. All right, so here is another backdoor. What organizations are under the Department of State? The Bureau of Health Security and Diplomacy, Intelligence and Research, the Bureau of Legislative Affairs, the Counselor of Department, the Executive Secretary, the Office of Chief of Protocol, Office of Civil Rights, and Office of Diversity and Inclusion. And so you can hit here, and then here's all the bureaus that work under that, right? And then you can go into more agency, if you want to talk about agency financial reports. Let's look at this one. The U.S. Department of State 2023 Agency of Financial Report, critical missions, risk and innovation, and workforce. Let's blow this up. All right, here's the balance sheet, right, for 2023, and these are in the billions. So this is 122.4 billion. The liabilities, their net position, and so forth. Um, I'm assuming these are in the these are in the billions right here. These are in the thousands. And then they also show the number of passports issued here increased in 2023 in the millions. The State Department employees, they have it here. The green is the locally employed staff. The blue is this civil service, and this one is foreign service. All right, let's keep going. The Secretary of Bilkin participates in NATO Foreign Ministry's ministral in Brussels, Belgium in 2023. In this document, they have strategic goals and government management initiatives, financial summary. They got the financial section. Let me go down. Yeah, it looks like it pops back up here. Um, the department challenges and management responses, the grant programs. Let's go here to the grant programs. All right. So number of grants, um, cooperative agreements, number of grants cooperative undispersed balances. Climate related financial risk, right? So you could go get all this stuff is public knowledge. I was just talking about this last month to work in at the UN as a diplomat. Yeah, yeah, right. Um, have you all ever thought about working for NATO? You can go work for NATO, right? Careers at NATO. What is NATO? Do you want to work for a political and military alliance that promotes freedom and security? Are you interested in working with people from diverse backgrounds? Would you like to earn a competitive salary? Do your interests and abilities match one of NATO's jobs? What we do. Understand how NATO was created, the partnerships and so forth. Um, Let me see what we do about us. I'm looking for the jobs. Work with us. Careers at NATO. Current vacancies. All right, so here's their current vacancies right on their site. Now, you could be a US citizen and go work with NATO and work internationally. I was put on contract with Mantech to go work with NATO in Belgium. This is back in 2008, 2007, 2008. So, um, you can select by categories here. Cyber defense. Now, remember, now we're still on on the subject of skills that could take you anywhere, last a lifetime. These things still get funded. All right, so head of enterprise architecture, working in Brussels, in Belgium. A senior analyst of science, data and science and AI, a data engineer, a chief technician for storage and backup, um, a principal technician for virtual infrastructure. Like, it's already listed here, and I just sorted by the jobs. Head of enterprise architecture and working in Belgium. So, all right, here's the job. What they looking for. They would love for somebody that spoke French. This is where your languages are out there, right? This is where your second language come into play. Understanding data management, architectures, and so forth, right? I'm just telling you, you don't have to just look here. You could be international with your skill set. Now let's get back to our original conversation. What are you doing to mitigate your risk? I just gave you a way to look at the world in a 5 year, 10 year, 15, 20 year, where you could take your skill sets and know where money is being pumped into, what relationships the United States have with other countries, the companies that work in those that trade or have some type of job in those countries, and still keep your citizenship and still work overseas, and on top of that travel. And you can do that on your 5 year, 10 year, 15, 20 year, and you can hop around with all of that, mitigating your risk. Another way to mitigate your risk is always be learning. Always be learning and always be networking. I don't know. I don't think they keeping up with the show today, D. I think the show may I think I might be talking over old folks' head. I don't know. It's getting kind of dry out here. I'm sorry. All right. Here, with the money that you're earning. Now, let's talk about this. Because now I don't think y'all been shown this. Mm, 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 mm. Let me. What is? Yeah. Let me pull this up. Mm, 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 mm. I'm trying to find something. Okay. Let me let me create a new thing so I don't give out this person's email address online. I am going to cut and paste. Hold on, let me read it real good. Okay, that works. I can cut and paste that, but let me get this first because I think this, and I've done this before. All right, so what does it look like to work overseas? And then I am going to okay. Let me go back up. I'll read it. All right. So this was one living in Australia. The one of the big things that you got a chance with this particular job was you could take off to 4 weeks at a time. Um, you work from basically from 6 to 2 or from 12 to 8. Um, n- New gym, fully staffed cafeteria, medical facility on site, free doctor's visits, private health insurance. Um, you can flex your times. You can flex your time, roll up extra hours up to 10 weeks. Um, and that was pretty much any of the big things. All right, so let's talk about this. This goes under strategic job or career search, which puts you back over here on think of your career in that 5 to 10 year, and also what with the money that you're earning, what does retirement look like? How do you accomplish the aspect of keeping up with the skill set? I just went through it. I just went through it, facts no fluff. You got to know. And this is what y'all uh, don't really get. Those policies that get created affect the job market. Those policies that get created and those companies that are working affect how money gets moved and where it's getting moved to. And just in general, the amount of money that gets dumped into, say, a war, or we want to some type of prevention, some type of career generating, you have to watch all of that. So when people are talking online, they're distractions to me. So uh, I'm looking up something. Now this came out in 2022, and I don't think nobody even talked about it. The Biden administration announces nearly $725 million to create good paying union jobs, catalyze economic revitalization in the coal communities. Right? So when I see numbers like that, I'm like, okay, what's the coal community? What are they doing around that? What does that mean? Let me show you my search. Government dump money into creating careers. Right? This right here was the American Jobs Plan that came out in 2021. Right? Fix highways, rebuild bridges, upgrade ports, airports, and transit systems. I showed you the submarine cable, right? And I showed you all the different ports as well too last week. You don't think those ports, that marine cable, you don't think they all tie in into your skill sets, into where you can go, what you can accomplish, networking. And when I say networking, now I'm talking about zeros and ones. We got to move those. We got to keep track of what's in the port, what goes out the port, what's on those ships. A, 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 a tracking system, literally a tracking system, right? Deliver clean water, electric grid, high broad, staying wrong, high speed broadband to all Americans. Retrofit to 2 million homes and commercial buildings, modernize our nation's schools and child care facilities, upgrade veterans hospitals and federal buildings. This is 2021. Solidify the infrastructure of our care economy by creating jobs and raising wages and benefits for essential home care workers. Revitalize manufacturing, secure U.S. supply chains, R&D. Now we saw the tech companies, right? We saw the tech cities, right? So Biden new tech hubs, right? We saw that. Biden administration next the funding round, right? This came out 724. The next funding round, right? 504 million announces the next funding round of 504 million for 12 hubs across the United States. It's the next round, right? The next round. Colorado with quantum 41 million, Montana 41 million for sensors, manufacturing 51 million, Illinois 51 million for precision fermentation and biomanufacturing, lithium batteries and electric vehicle 21 million, New York for semiconductor manufacturing 40 million, New Hampshire 44 million for biofabrication, South Carolina, 45 million for clean energy and supply. Florida, 19 million for sustainable and climate resilient infrastructure. Ohio, sustainable polymers. Tulsa, secure autonomous systems, 51 million. Wisconsin, 49 million for personalized medicine. The leading agency, BioFord, Wisconsin. Tulsa Innovation Labs, Greater Akron Chamber, Miami-Dade Innovation and Economic Development Office. I'm rolling up on every last one of these, trying to figure out how I could get a slice of the pie. They already gave you the blueprint. Now you gotta go do some homework. Now you gotta do some homework. What are the companies? It says in phase one of the program, identified 31 tech hubs, geographically diverse, high potential regions across the country, and with demonstrated expertise in emerging technology sectors. Collectively, these tech hubs secure well over a thousand commitments, attracting more than 4 billion in investment commitments, and catalyzing meaningful public and institutional policy. This is why I was talking about the policies. You they all line up with what you see here. And we're talking in the billions, right? Attracted more than 4 billion in investment commitments, catalyzing meaningful public and institutional policies changes that support their strategies. In phase two, because if we change the policies, then something going on. Somebody advocating for something to do something. Right? Phase two, the tech hubs develop proposed projects to propel their growth into globally recognized regions that produce and deliver technologies of the future. It's why you need to go back to the Department of State to line up and see what countries are we working with for to produce, and this is the key, into globally recognized regions and produce and deliver technologies of the future. What's going on, TD Will? Thanks for joining. Man, get the lights up. I know ain't nobody talking about this on YouTube. I know ain't nobody talking about it. Like I know ain't nobody connecting the dots like this. I know they not. I know they not. So let's talk about working overseas real quick. Right. Heather, I'm doing this for the culture. I'm doing this for the culture, Heather. All right. All right. So let's get busy. All right. So here there are companies out there that automatically put 25% into your 401k. I have gone over this episode 124. I went over it again. Go check out the companies. I put down the list on the companies that do 25%, 15%, 10% automatically, right? Hence right here, career strategic strategic job and career search, right? Taking it one step further, how we tying all this in for our 5 year, 10 year, 20 year. And last but not least is how do we buy back our time? That's what I end the show with. Is how we're gonna buy back our time. All right, so let's get busy. So here it's called the individual benefits account, IBA. And let's say you start out with $175,000. That's your base pay. This is what it looks like for an IBA. Calculator time. All right. There's nothing there. All right. So you start out at 175,000 automatically. automatically on line 2, I mean line 8, automatically that year, the company is going to put $43,750 into your 401k. That's not what you're putting in. That's what they're putting in. So 43,750 plus your 23,000 if you're under 50. At the end of the year, if you max out everything, you'll have $66,750 in your 401k. For your own edification, I've been saying 5 year, 10 year, 15 year, 20 year. I'm only gonna do this over. I'm only gonna look at this from not an investing perspective. I'm just gonna say what money is gonna be in your 401k um in those time periods. So 6750 for 1 year. We multiply that by 5, 750. So at the end of 5 years, you can have $33,750. Well, let's say you didn't do that. Let's say you stayed in that company, um, and you maybe you didn't hop around, right? Right. So 67,750 in 1 year, and I multiplied that by 5. That's how I got the 3,750. Y'all with me? That makes sense? Every year. I'm just saying you're under 35. Put a one in chat if that made sense. Right? Let me go back to say how I got there. Every year they put in 43,750. 43,750 plus you put in your 23,000 for your current year. That's 66,750. Now, let's multiply this by 10 years. In 10 years, just in contributions alone, you could be at 667 or 670 if we want to be nice about it. 670,000. But wait, there's more. Because in your IBA, your insurance and your PTO come out of here. Suppose that your insurance doesn't take all of this. Say your insurance takes up about $7,000 of this. So you'll have 9,000 left. And let's say because you're crafty and you work over, you know how to maneuver and take your days off. So you may not take no PTO. Let's say 26 and 7 is 33,000. Right. So let's do 33,000 times 0.7. So let's say every year you get back 23,000. If you got back 23,000 at the end of the year for next 10 years, again, I'm just rounding numbers. That'd be at 200,000, 230,000. What I'm not including is pay raises. I'm just rounding numbers. Let's say you get a pay raise every year of 3%, 5%, 4%, whatever. So 230 plus 670,000 for that one job, just in contributions alone. I'm not including any growth. I'm not including any playing in the market or none of that. I'm just saying straight contributions. That's all I'm saying. Just cash going into accounts. You could be a millionaire, right? Everybody with me? D, you with me? Everybody with me? Okay. All right. So let's get back to our thing here. Where we're at. What he's saying is here, because you're in Australia or working for this company overseas in Australia, um, they put the 25% into your IBA and to your 401k, and that's how they come up with 262 500. And if we go look here, that's where that's at. This is just, I didn't go overseas. I'm just chilling. This is what my yearly take home. Well, this is not my take home. I'm taking home line 175 and 12 and 13. Those are the things that I'm end up taking home. Right. So in theory, you could say, hey, they put this in and I can get this money back. Right. So you could put a 43,000 on top of that. That's really what you're, if you really want to look at what you really physically like gonna touch liquid, that's what you're really touching liquid. And you can get this money back throughout the year. You don't have to wait till the end of the year. So you can get this money back throughout the year. You can access that like a extra check. You can just say every month, just instead of me waiting till the end of the year to get this, just as an extra bonus, just throw that in my check as an extra bonus if you wanted to. All right. So now let's go back to this. Mm-mm-mm. Because you go before you even come over. That's what he's saying. He said, but go ahead and add an additional 20% on top of this 262 500. That's how you got to the 315. We just because you overseas, we giving you 20% because you over here. Plus on top of the 315 that you're getting now, right? They're gonna go ahead and give you a 20% bump. Plus you get $3,800 a month for housing. Say you might be over there for, again, he's been over there now, going on what, 4 or 5 years now, right? 4 or 5 years. So now we're at an additional $45,000 extra a month that we're gonna add on to that, right? So now we're at 360. And then we also, because of the medical, the IBA, it'll be 10K less and free brand new gym. They also give you money for food and stipends and all that stuff. So that's what it could look like going overseas, right? And you can utilize what I showed you before on how to get overseas and do your thing, right? Does this make sense to everybody? Being strategic, also being, um understanding the skill sets that you need. What skill sets are they looking for? What skill sets could last you a lifetime. And you can literally look at, um where the government, what agencies receive the most funding. The Social Security, um received, almost trillions. Health, 889 billion. Medicare, 884 billion. National Defense, 820. And you can look at all of this stuff and see where the money is going. It's where the budget's at. I talked about this on another show as well too. All right. So last but not least, on my list, how do you buy back your time? How do you buy back your time? Stocks. I'm gonna still include your network. because you can find other jobs. You can go 1099, start a business, buy a business. And most people are not going to do this at the 5 year mark, to be honest with you. Most people are going to do that right here at the 15-year mark. They thinking about it here at 10, but they still got a little life left in them. But remember, you could do this in 10 years. You could be at $1 million in 10 years, a little over. And you can switch and make a transition and start your own business. And then work from that perspective. And you know where the networks are at this point. You know who's doing what. You know what, not necessarily what the government needs, but what companies are providing the things that you want to do. This is where you get a chance to go work on what you want to work on. I want to work with people that work with the homeless and teach them coding skills or teach them financial literacy or whatever. You go work on that from that perspective. Does this all make sense? I hope it made sense. All right. Seem like it made sense. All right. Now let's get busy to our other stuff. I was going to do a diagram, but I'm not. Let's get on to this. Let's get on with the rest of the show. All right. So, rest of the show. Give you some information. All right. Hackers can wirelessly watch your screen via HDMI radiation. Fast no fluff. Thank you. A newly discovered technique combines wireless EM um, monitoring and AI algorithms to read text on a victim screen, and it's already being used in the wild. Covertly intercepting video signals is a very old fashioned way to go about electric spying, but a new method discovered by researchers puts a frightening spin on it. A new research team out of Uruguay has found that it's possible to intercept the wireless electromagnetic radiation coming from an HDMI cable and interpret the video by processing it with AI. Three scientists from the University of Republic of Montevideo spotted by Tech Hub. So they got it right here. According to the paper, it's possible to train an AI model to interpret the tiny fluctuations in electromagnetic energy from wired HDMI signal, even though it's a wired standard and is usually encrypted digitally. There's enough electromagnetic signal coming off of these cables to detect without direct access. Detecting and coding are two different things, of course. But researchers also found that using AI model paired to recognition software, it's possible to read the wirelessly recorded EM radiation with up to 70% accuracy. Though that's a long way from conventional recording, it's still 60% improvement over previous methods, right? Skimming off wireless electromagnetic signals for surveillance isn't a bad idea. It says it's a vulnerability referred to as tempest, transient electromagnetic pulse emanation. Emanation. I don't know why I want to screw that word up like that. Standard. A very awkward backronym. Never heard of backronym. With roots in espionage going all the way back to World War, but as a digital transmission with at least some level of encryption using an HDCP system, HDMI cables weren't thought to be particularly susceptible to it. Researchers, the researchers' AI algorithm assisted method of attacking, which they're calling deep tempest, opens up a very disturbing possibility. So we're gonna have to wrap foil around the HDMI cords. Researchers claim that this system or functionality identical alternatives are already being used by state level spies and industrial espionage agents. The sophisticated nature of the technique and the need to be at least somewhere in the vicinity of the target system means that it's unlikely to affect regular users. Any government agency or large company with sensitive data should be wary and might want to look at EM emitting electromagnetic shielding measures that goes double for any of the employees who work from home. So you can get hacked through your HDMI cords. Did y'all get in on this? The $15 million cash app data breach class action settlement. Consumers whose information was compromised in 2022 and 2023 cash app data breaches could benefit from a $15 million settlement. The settlement benefits current and former Cash App customers whose account and personal information was obtained without consent or who experienced fraudulent withdrawals or transfers from 2018 to 2024. Cash App failed to protect consumers from two data breaches in 2022 and in 2023. In 2022, the breach reportedly involved an employee's authorized access to Cash App and investing accounts, whereas in 2023, breach involved a third party's unauthorized access using recycled phone numbers. Who is eligible? Current and Cash App customers whose account and personal information was obtained without consent or who experienced fraudulent withdrawals from 20 August 23rd of 2018 and August the 20th of 24. Your potential award is $2,500. You will need receipts. They like, don't beat me if you don't have no work, boy. They like, don't come over here talking about you got hacked. D, how much time I got left? Am I on with my two? I am making sure. I gotta keep up with these things. Y'all got stuff to do. Mm, 98 minutes. That's what it says I've been rolling at. All right, we got some time. I'm gonna go back to my document. Did y'all see Intel is laying off 15,000 people? Intel is laying off 15,000 people. Intel announced it would lay off more than 15% of its staff, or 15,000 people, in a memo to employees on Thursday. The massive headcount is part of the large plan to reduce spending by 10 billion in 2025. 15,000 people. Intel reported a 1% decline in revenues for the second quarter compared to the same period last year. The company attributed the loss to the growth to gross margin headwinds related to AI PC products. The company is also suspending its shareholder dividends starting in 2020, fourth quarter of 2024, and anticipates more challenging second half in trends than it previously expected. They stopping their dividends, yo. That stopped from the tank. All right, let's go here. And this gonna be my last hoorah. All right, Coca-Cola to pay $6 billion in IRS uh, uh, back taxes case while appealing the judge decision. So Coca-Cola has to pay $6 billion in IRS back taxes case. So they probably gonna have their stock tank as well too. And say the case dating back to 17 years ago. All right, I lied. I said I was gonna stop right there, but I don't. I want to do this one because this one is important. Um. Let's see. Netflix. Mm, that's not it. I thought it was on my. I thought I saved it. Hold on one second. I thought I saved it. One second. Let me look at my links real good. Oh, okay. Here it is right here. Okay. Uber legal chief Tony West is to take leave for the Harris campaign, right? Chief Tony West is leaving Uber to go join the Harris campaign. Uber Technologies chief legal officer Tony West, brother-in-law of Vice President Kamala Harris, is taking a temporary leave of absence to volunteer for a presidential bid. West will lead the company August 17th to volunteer in the campaign in his personal capacity. Uber said Friday in regulatory filing without naming Harris' presidential bid or return date. In an email West sent to the company, seen by Bloomberg, he confirmed he will be joining the vice president campaign. While I love my job, my team, the positive impact Uber has on the world, I always believed family comes first. So I've decided to dedicate myself full time to supporting my family and my sister in law on the campaign. West West said he won't have a formal role or title with the campaign, nor will he be paid. I will be acting as a family member surrogate, one who can speak about the vice president from a perspective of someone who's known her for decades. He said. West said he intends to return to Uber after the campaign. West joins as Harris' presidential West joins as Harris' presidential campaign is in the midst of adding key advisors and seeking a vice presidential nominee. West, a former associate attorney general during the Obama administration and married to Maya Harris, the vice president's younger sister. He frequently been seen by the side of the vice president since she became the presumptive Democratic Party nominee for President Joe Biden, dropping his reelection. Right. So just keep an eye on who he is and what role he plays. Tony West. Go check him out. Go check out Tony West. All right. Let me see. Was there anything else? You saw that Berkshire and Hathaway cut their portfolio in half on the Apple shares, so they got rid of some of their Apple shares. I guess I could talk about this. All right, just to keep y'all informed here. 4.3 million people hit in a massive healthcare breach with full names, addresses, and social security numbers exposed online. Impacted individuals will be notified by Health Equity this month. Oh man. If you have a HSA with Health Equity for medical expenses, your personal information may have been exposed online, and a massive data breach would affect 4.3 million people in the US. As reported by the Bleeping Computer, HSA provider Health Equity has disclosed that it suffered a data breach in which the personal information of million Americans was stolen by hackers. So your HSA information is online now. Watch your HSA. All right. All right, y'all. That's what I wanted to report today. I got more, but I got things to do. So I hope y'all had fun. I hope you understand how not economic, but how policies affect not just from the Department of State, how they affect you locally, and also how they affect your economic growth as well too, and how you can mitigate your risk across all these things. So if you didn't catch all that, go back and watch the replay. If you still got questions, leave a comment under the section or hit me up in Slack. Until then, I'll catch y'all later.